the ultimate mental battlefield, your journey to unbreakable strength. Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you might just save your life. Picture this, you're standing at the edge of a cliff, and behind you is everything that's ever held you back. Every excuse, every moment of weakness, every time you've let yourself down. And in front of you, the most terrifying, exhilarating journey you'll ever take. The journey to becoming absolutely unstoppable. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to hear. This world we're living in right now, it's absolutely ruthless. It doesn't care about your feelings, your excuses, or your sob story. The world is the ultimate competitor, and it's been training its entire existence to take you down. It will find every single weakness you've got tucked away in the corners of your mind, and it will hammer those weak spots until you crumble. But here's where most people get it completely wrong. They think the world is unfair. They think life is picking on them specifically. Mate, that's not how this works. The world isn't personal, it's just brutal. And if you want to survive, let alone thrive, you need to get back to the mental laboratory, where real transformation happens. Right now, I need you to stop whatever you're doing. Stop scrolling through social media looking for motivation that lasts about as long as a cup of tea. Stop listening to podcasts, hoping someone else will give you the magic formula. Stop surrounding yourself with all the bloody noise that's keeping you weak. It's time to get back to work, and I mean the real work that happens inside your skull. You need to reach a point in your life where absolutely nothing can touch you. Not because you're living in some fantasy bubble, but because you know exactly who you are. You've faced every demon lurking in the shadows of your past. You've sat down with every trauma, every painful memory, every moment of shame, and you've had a proper conversation with them. This is where most people fail spectacularly. They run from their past like it's chasing them with a bloody machete. But here's what you need to understand. That shame you're carrying around, that embarrassment about your mistakes, it's killing you from the inside out. It's stopping you from moving forward, keeping you trapped in this mental prison of your own making. Never, and I mean never, be ashamed of anything you've done in your life. Face it head on, fix what can be fixed, make better choices moving forward. But shame is a luxury you simply cannot afford if you want to become the person you're capable of being. Everything you need to become extraordinary already exists in your mental laboratory. I'm talking about that space in your mind where you conduct constant research on yourself, where you study your weaknesses with the precision of a scientist, where you identify exactly what needs to be conquered, because you're constantly pushing yourself into situations that make you uncomfortable. This is the difference between people who achieve greatness and people who spend their lives wondering what if. The extraordinary ones know that suffering is coming whether they choose it or not. Life is going to throw curveballs at you that would make a professional cricket player weep. The question is, will you be ready? The only way to prepare for the unchosen suffering that is heading your way is to choose your own suffering. Every single day, you need to do something that makes you want to quit. I'm not telling you to run 200 miles or become some sort of masochistic machine, but you better have a part of you that's absolutely bulletproof. You need a part of your character that can break down the worst situations and find a way through them quickly. Because when life hits you with real trauma, real devastation, you cannot let that become a bloody great wall that stops you in your tracks. It needs to be something you can navigate through and move past with the speed and precision of someone who has been training for this moment their entire life. Most people go through life like they're sleepwalking. When they die, doctors do an autopsy to figure out what killed them. But nobody does a living autopsy to figure out why they're dying while they're still breathing. I was one of those people. I was living every day, but I was really dead inside. Moving through life like a zombie, going through the motions but not really living. The moment I figured this out, everything changed. I was able to be reborn. Not in some mystical, spiritual way, but in the most practical sense possible. I took all the knowledge from my struggles, all the lessons from my failures, and I used them as fuel for transformation. This is what I'm trying to give you right now. The strength to go into the archives of your life. Because somewhere in your past, probably multiple times, things happened that shaped who you are today. Most people leave these experiences buried, hoping they'll just disappear. But you need to dig them up, study them like a forensic investigator, and then use them to make yourself stronger. You need to get better at handling pressure. You need to overcome the obstacles that have been holding you back for years. And here's something that might surprise you. Most people need some external purpose to get them moving. They need a 5,000 race to train for, a qualification to study for, some external goal that gives their life meaning. But what happens when there's nothing on the calendar? What happens when there's no race, no exam, no external motivation pushing you forward? This is where most people fall apart completely. They lose their drive because they've made their purpose dependent on external circumstances. You need to get to a point where you can perform at the highest level even when there is absolutely nothing external driving you. Because life has this funny way of throwing challenges at you when you least expect them. If you're not constantly performing without needing external purpose, you won't be ready when those moments arrive. The magical thing that everyone's searching for. This elusive purpose that will make everything make sense is actually right there staring you in the mirror every morning. The purpose is you. You are always the purpose. There might be other purposes, like career goals or personal achievements, but the main purpose in life is you. If you wake up in the morning and you don't want to do the work, it's because you don't care enough about yourself. That's what you need to research. That's what you need to figure out. Why aren't you doing this for yourself? Because improving yourself is the #1 purpose in life. This is the only purpose I bloody well need. The reason I get up every morning, even when there's no race to train for, no school to attend, nothing concrete in front of me, is because I have pride in myself. I understand that I was born as one version of myself, but that version wasn't good enough. I was a scared, bullied, abused kid who struggled with everything. And whenever something got tough, no matter how hard I trained, no matter how ready I thought I was, the old version of me would surface and want to quit. I realized this pattern over time, and I knew I had to build a new version of myself. In that building process, that's where the real growth happens. I get better when I'm digging holes in the ground at dawn. I get better when I'm waking up early knowing I don't have to do these things. That's where the transformation occurs. It's crucial to stay hungry. Hunger is what drives progress, but it's even more important to stay humble within that hunger. Lots of people are hungry for success, but humility is everything. Let me tell you about a bloke called William Crawford. This man won the Medal of Honor, which is the highest award in the military. We're talking about someone who showed extraordinary heroics, who saved lives, who put his own life on the line and could have been killed in the process. After achieving this incredible honor, this man went to work at the Air Force Academy as a janitor. Nobody knew who this man was. Nobody knew about his Medal of Honor. Here's someone who had reached the absolute pinnacle of military achievement, and he's now basically cleaning toilets for young cadets. You can imagine how that probably went. There were probably some young lads taking the mickey, maybe some taunting here and there. And he just sat there quietly and did his job. That's why he's part of my mental training on humility. For this man to be at that level of achievement and have the humility to put his medal in the closet, pick up his broom and dustpan, grab his cleaning cloth and clean up after these young men, that's absolutely incredible growth. It shows he was doing his job as a servant. He didn't see himself as better than anybody else. The second you start thinking you're above others, you've completely lost the plot. You cannot look at yourself as superior to other people. Even with everything I've achieved, I always look at people and I know where they are because I've been there. That's why I can help so many people. I've never been above anyone. I've always been pretty much beneath them, and that's where my knowledge comes from. I know how to reach people who are in the deepest, darkest places because I've been there so many times myself. Here's something that will challenge everything you think you know about success. You have to be your best self when you're least motivated. That's the tricky part about all this motivation talk. Motivation is just a word. It's a feeling that comes and goes like the weather. You have to have these different systems in your mind, clear pathways to where you want to go. And you need to know that motivation isn't going to get you there, because you're not always going to be motivated. Some days you'll wake up feeling like you could conquer the world. Other days you'll wake up feeling like the world has already conquered you. Someone once said that discipline eats motivation for breakfast, and discipline is brilliant. But without a clear headspace, there's no discipline either. Think of it like this. Imagine you've got a circuit breaker, and you're loading everything up onto one circuit. You just keep piling more and more onto it until it's going to blow. Once that thing blows, the circuit is completely buggered. You need to have each thing plugged into the right spot, like organizing a crowded garage. Once your garage is so packed with junk that you can't fit anything else in it, it becomes useless. Once your brain is crowded with mental clutter, discipline becomes nearly impossible. You might have discipline sometimes, when it happens to fit into that crowded garage of your mind, but you don't have the consistency you need. I call this creating mental zones. You need to be organized in your mind so you can access your discipline when you need it. Lots of people talk about discipline, and that's brilliant. But why do you fall off the wagon? Why can't you continue with your routine of going to the gym, eating right, waking up early, being better? It's because maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your job, and it's all just stuffed into your brain without any organization. You don't have it compartmentalized and organized on these nice, clean mental shelves. A lot of people's brains are like a disaster zone. When they need to find their discipline, they're frantically searching through mental boxers, throwing things around, getting more frustrated by the second. Where are you going to put discipline in that kind of mind? If you can't find the other essential tools you need, how can you access discipline when you need it most? You need to be able to find all these different resources in your mind instantly. You should be able to think, right, I can put discipline exactly there. If your life isn't organized, and by life I mean everything around you, because it takes just one tiny piece of outside interference to clutter your entire mind. And then your mind has to always be clear. That's why I meditate for 2 hours every single night. I refresh and reorganize the garage, which is my mind, every single night. Then discipline is in there. Organization is in there. Everything is in its proper place. I am waking up, and I am giving myself all this mental armor, so that when I step out into the world, I'm ready for battle. I'm not waking up late. I'm not rushing around like a headless chicken. I'm not disorganized when primera wake up. I'm ready to dominate the day. Why is the truth so bloody important? You have to have the truth to have a starting point. Your true self is found in that very uncomfortable zone that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. We all look for toughness. We all want it desperately, but we look for it in comfortable environments. Here's what you need to understand. You will not find toughness in a comfortable environment. Those of you listening to this right now, you will not find it there. The only way you find real toughness is to drown yourself in a position where you reach completely out of your depth. Where you can't swim and you're drowning. You're drowning. You have to make a choice. Will you give up and let yourself sink? Or will you fight with everything you've got to stay afloat? Once you come face to face with who you really are in those moments, you have a starting point for real transformation. It's your mind telling you the harsh reality. You're not doing anything meaningful with your life. You're wasting massive amounts of your potential. About 20% of life might be comfortable success and achievement, but the other 80%, that's suffering, pain, failure after failure after failure, self-doubt, darkness, and then, finally, a whole bunch of light. But to get to that light, you've got to go through all the darkness first. You were not succeeding, and you were not achieving your potential because you were terrified to go into that dark place to find yourself. You're setting goals that you know you can reach, and that's exactly why you're not growing. When you do that, when you face that fear, that insecurity, that doubt, that's where real growth happens. You must always set goals that you think you cannot achieve. In that space between what you think is possible and what you discover is actually possible, that's where you get better. When that alarm clock goes off at 4 or 5 in the morning and your mind immediately says no, you just say, this is what we do now. Because to get to where you want to go, considering the amount of pain involved, the amount of mental pain, how many times are you going to have to do something that you absolutely do not want to do? You need this to become automatic. Every day, you must ask yourself one simple question. Did I do enough today? And then, once you do this over and over and over again, it becomes like breathing. You don't think about breathing. You just do Italiano. The same thing happens with excellence. I don't want to live this lifestyle necessarily, but to get to the other side of where I want to be, I have to. If you really want something, you'll realize what trying actually means and what trying is not. Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. Once you put away your phones and computers and all that modern rubbish we're surrounded by, your brain is the only thing you truly have. When you're going through depression, when you're facing hard times, when you're dealing with death and real-life challenges, you can't Google your way out of that. You're completely alone. You might have a therapist you visit. You might have a best mate you talk to. But there are 24 hours in every day. And for most of those hours, you're alone with your brain. Your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways. And it wants to control you. It wants to pull you into these different mental pockets of weakness and fear. If you can't control your own brain, if your brain controls you instead, then you're absolutely done for. You've got to tell your brain where you want to go, how you want to get there. and how you want to behave along the way. You've got to control it completely, or it's game over. Back then, all I knew was hard work. You've got to work harder than everyone else. When I couldn't understand a paragraph, when I could unremember what was in that paragraph to pass a test to get into the military, I would read it again. Still not getting it, read it again. But if reading wasn't working, I'd write it out. And that's how I started actually learning. I realized that if I keep going back and going back and going back until the information finally sticks, my mind would eventually surrender and figure it out. It would find a way because it realized I wasn't going to stop. It wasn't like I was going to try one more time and then give up. No, when that alarm clock went off, we were going back to work. I couldn't read properly. We were going back to work. I gave myself absolutely no way out, and my mind realized this. Eventually, it said, okay, we're going to adapt and overcome because this bloke isn't going to quit. That was my mindset, and that's how you get through the toughest challenges. You put yourself completely into whatever situation you're facing, and you become that situation. I became comfortable with hell, and that became my new normal. I gave myself no way out. There was nothing outside these walls of suffering and growth. Nothing existed beyond this commitment to transformation. I watched this segment on television about these guys going through Navy SEAL training, and I couldn't even handle it at first. I was a decent swimmer, but I was afraid of the water. All this mental baggage was holding me back. I saw these incredibly tough guys just quitting left and right during the training. But at the very end of the program, there were 22 guys who had made it through. There was a commanding officer up there giving this incredible speech to these survivors. I started visualizing myself being the 23rd guy sitting there with these warriors. I thought to myself, if I could feel what they're feeling right now, that would completely change my life. What was that feeling I wanted so desperately? Respect. Accomplishment. Victory. I wanted to win, but not in the sense of beating somebody else. It wasn't about competition with others. I just wanted to go the distance for once in my life. Everything in my life. Whenever something got difficult, I would quit. I had this pattern of giving up when things got tough instead of working harder. I would just quit. But I thought, if I could just go that extra mile, just once, just to finish something truly challenging, I wanted to feel what victory actually meant. For me, victory wasn't about winning against others. It was about finishing. It was about going the full distance, and not giving up when things got brutal. So I told myself, if I could feel like these SEAL graduates feel, it would transform my entire existence. And here's what's incredible. I literally started feeling victory just by putting myself into the battle. I started realizing that just by going to war with myself every day, setting these challenges, creating these goals, building these seemingly insurmountable obstacles, I was already winning in the most important way. Now we can move forward from there. But if you look at your current situation and think, I'm broken, but I'm still here, and I'm fighting, and I'm going to find a way to get through this because I have nowhere else to go. That realization gives you enormous power. Nobody really finds themselves without going through proper trials, tribulations, suffering, and accountability. And accountability is suffering. Being accountable every single day for doing right by yourself and the people around you. That's measurable growth. The more I did this, the more confidence I gained. And the more confidence I gained, the more I realized that these Navy SEALs, these incredibly tough guys, couldn't do what I was doing right then. I had no coach, no trainer, no money. I didn't know how to lose weight properly. I had no knowledge of proper training methods. I was just working relentlessly. I was just sacrificing everything for transformation. But I would never have found these tools if I hadn't put myself in an extremely uncomfortable place. Your true self is found in that very uncomfortable zone. That's where the real you emerges. The strong version comes from all these challenging obstacles. And now that version exists and is ready for anything. So when people ask how you do that, how you become that person, the answer is simple. You know exactly how to do it. The path is clear, even if it's terrifying. The only question is whether you're willing to walk it. This is where we pause the first part of this transformation. The foundation has been laid, the mental framework established. The real you is waiting on the other side of everything you're afraid to face. The question is, are you ready to meet him? Your time is coming. Keep believing, keep fighting. Don't just watch. Go out and prove them wrong. Thank you for being part of the journey. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.